Hey, everybody, welcome to the very first episode of the Forehead of Security podcast. I'm your host, Sean Siegel, at Spider Jules Arty on Twitter. These are my co hosts.
Hello, I'm Ari. You'll find me Hyper Chick Cosplay on Instagram. I do cosplay, I read comics, I'm a movie buff, and I love anime.
All right. Sup, I'm Kenzie. I will probably be the awkward and shy one. I don't really have any social media that I currently use, but yeah, I'm mainly DC here. So
All right. Well, since this is, the first episode and nobody knows us, I think we should go around and talk about like our favorite heroes and stuff, our backgrounds with comics and movies and all that. So I'll go first. I got really into the Marvel movies first when I was 9 because Avengers Assemble came out, or at least I went to see it on my birthday, and it was just like one of my defining moments as a person. So that sort of thrust me headfirst into that world, and I got really into comics, especially the X-Men. I love the X-Men. I think the Fox X-Men movies are fantastic, even though I know that's not a very popular opinion. My favorite comic book character is definitely Kitty Pryde. I think she is just so much more fun than any other character. There's so much more that they can do with her. That series where she gets possessed by a ninja and has to fight Wolverine is my favorite comic run. In terms of DC, I really, really like Batman and Superman. Obviously, those are the main ones, but I really love the Flash too. I thought he's just fun. Ari?
I got into DC first. I had a stack of 1980s comic books that were passed down to me, but I found them and I was reading them from when I was younger. And then I saw Teen Titans, the original on TV, the cartoon, and I became obsessed with DC itself. Like, I didn't put two and two together fast enough to tell like the story. I knew that they were the same story. I didn't realize like DC was an overall thing as I was little. But that's why I became so addicted to DC. And I didn't like Marvel for the longest time. I just had this thing where DC's better without even me trying. Like, even though I liked Spider-Man, but I didn't think like that's Marvel. So I love DC still, but I've started to lean more towards Marvel now. Um, favorite, I'm trying to think of my favorite heroes. Of course, I love Wolverine, but I'm, like I say, DC fan mostly. So Tara Markov has to be like my favorite, even though technically she's not a hero because she betrayed them, but she's still, I relate to her a lot. So I love her. That's my background in comics. Um, and my history of, I went to the library when I was younger. It's getting long, I know, but I got this book that was about how comics began. They used to be westerns, and then they became like they gave the cowboys superpowers. And from there, I was just like, with my love for DC, I was like, I need to know more, and I want to write more. I want to do my own. So
Yeah, that's pretty
nice.
cool.
Let's see. In middle school, one of my best friends introduced me to Marvel, and we binged all of the Marvel movies in like 3 days, 3 to 4 days. And then I got surgery done, and I just was browsing Netflix, and I came across the Arrowverse, and then I just decided to love DC. So I just watched all the DC movies and went to Superman versus Batman with my brother, and that just kind of sparked my love for DC and Marvel. So really short, but
Yeah, Batman v Superman gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I rewatched it before the Snyder cut, and it's not perfect. I mean, Martha scene, just the worst. But it's a pretty
it
good
was like
movie.
it was my first official DC movie. So yeah.
All right. Well, that is the three of us.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the Avengers for me, and then I went back and watched the MCU, like the ones beforehand, the whole Phase 1 and all that. But
Oof.
I mean, they're all good. Like,
Yeah.
even the bad movies in both universes, like, I mean, Suicide Squad obviously isn't
They're
perfect.
classics.
They're still good.
Yeah, Suicide Squad was an almost good to me.
Yeah,
And then I
it
feel
had
like
its moments.
they let it down.
Come on. The only reason why I watched Suicide Squad was for Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Smith though. Him as
So
Deadshot.
true.
Yes.
So true.
I
That
was so
worked
sure that was going to be
amazing.
bad, and then it was not. It was very good. Although
I mean, like,
Captain Boomerang was not great.
that was unnecessary.
Yeah. All right, so that's us. I'm going to get into our weekly news rundown. So the first thing that piqued my interest this week in terms of movie news was that Mrs. Doubtfire, there's an R-rated and an NC-17 cut of the movie. I don't know how to feel about that.
I want to see it.
I want to see it.
I can't help. I'm curious.
You have to imagine that that's going to be like, I love Robin Williams. I am not against cancel culture, but I think it's gotten way too far. I think an R-rated version of Mrs. Doubtfire has to be just the most transphobic thing anyone would ever watch. It seems like it's already dancing that line.
Maybe. But I think it'd probably be hilarious. But at the same time, if they were to release it after, Robin Williams is no longer with us, so he can't really defend himself to say like, hey, I don't agree with that, don't put it up. Or maybe he would like it to be viewed just for people to have seen it. Like he can't say. So that's why I would really don't know about its release. But I'm curious. God knows. I'm curious.
I'd like to
I've
watch
never
it,
actually seen
but I'd
Mrs.
not like
Doubtfire, so.
Oh, it's a classic.
Live under a rock. You need to see it.
It never sparked it just never sparked my interest. I don't watch movies like that.
You should watch this one.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay.
But
I shall add it to my to watch list.
I think an R-rated cut of it would be funny. But what did he say that earned an NC-17 cut of that movie? What did he do?
So curious now.
Who knows?
Out of respect for the no longer with.
Yeah, let that stay buried.
Yeah.
The next bit of news, Marvel announces their first gay Captain America. I am all for representation. The execution's a little weird. I don't know if anyone saw it, but he is very thin. He has a lot of tattoos. He wears a little scarf around his neck. He looks like a gay stereotype and not the good kind.
Yeah.
But
I mean, his whole storyline is he's supposed to be like the protector of the runaways. So I think we kind of like need to play that because he's supposed to be like a runaway too.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm not. I love Captain America as a character. I love Steve Rogers. I love Sam Wilson. I love every version of the character except for the U.S. agent, which we'll get into later. But I mean, he doesn't look like a Captain America. He doesn't look like he's not a strong person physically. Like I know that's not
kind of like
he doesn't look like he would be able to do much. Yeah. And then the last thing. You go.
I don't see why. I don't see. I think it's like a delay. But I don't see why it can't be the strong, Captain America. Why does it have to be all this extra stuff? Right. The whole point of representation is to say like, hey, here's, your regular hero, the person you know and love. But he's also has his own sexuality. But why does that have to be his whole personality? I love representation and everything, but I don't like when it's done as a trope and it almost feels like it's making fun of it in a way. But that's just me.
And they're also saying it's the first gay Captain. Yeah. They're also saying it's the first gay Captain America, as if we don't have Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes in the MCU. I mean,
Stucky.
They haven't quite confirmed it, but it's there. It's there.
It's all about the subtext.
The last bit of news, Gotham Knights, the video game that is the spin-off of the Arkham Asylum games, has been delayed to 2022. I'm very excited for this game. I love these four characters: Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing, and the other one. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot what he's called. The other Robin. Oh, Robin. Yeah, Robin. I was excited about this game. I think playing as those four in that universe without its Batman is going to be really fun. But we all saw what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. Don't do that again. Take your time, perfect the game is what I'm thinking there.
Maybe that's why
Yeah.
they postponed it.
Yeah.
Like it's better to me to have something take a little while longer and come out good than be rushed and come out bad.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And I bet that's what they're thinking. I mean, let's be honest. We're probably going to like this game, even if it's not perfect. Like everyone's going to have their complaints with anything, but it's an Arkham game. They've always been good. Like they've never disappointed, in my opinion, at least. I can't imagine disliking this, even if it's not perfect. So let them take their time.
Yeah.
All right. Now is the spoiler warning for Zack Snyder's Justice League, the first episode of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, possibly Superman and Lois. I don't know if we're really going to get into that because it pains me to talk about it. And then just, other general movies and stuff, like other superhero stuff that's been
WandaVision.
out for a while. Oh, WandaVision. Yes, WandaVision. And then just other MCU stuff that's been out for a while. So, all right. Now that everyone who hasn't watched anything has left, let's start with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm a fan. I liked it a lot. I have a couple of things that I wrote down that I wanted to mention before I gave my rating. I think we should all give like a rating out of 10 or something. The opening scene with it being the guy from the Lumerian Star, Batroc the Leaper, that callback to the Winter Soldier movie was so much fun to watch. It's always fun when they bring back old villains that you kind of forgot about, like they're doing with Zemo, apparently. That was cool. I really enjoyed that. And I thought that action was just fantastic. Lieutenant Torres is the perfect character. If anything happens to him, I will burn Kevin Feige's hat collection to the ground.
Oh no!
The therapy scene
The threat.
was accurate. I think that therapist is being a little harsh on Bucky, but everyone needs a villain. I don't know if you guys noticed this. I didn't notice it until the third time I watched it, but on Bucky's list, one of the names is H. Zemo, which is the guy from Civil War, and who's going to be in this, but they haven't really said how yet. I'm starting to think that maybe he's going to end up being an ally, and that the Flag Smashers are going to be the real villains, or U.S. Agent. Because are they really going to put 3 bad guys in this? Like that would be a fun twist, and it's weird that they put him on Bucky's list. That seems like a good way to introduce him if he's going to be a good guy, not a bad guy. And then lastly, that whole thing with Bucky killing that guy's son. Just that was too much. I was not prepared for that. But I like the level of detail that they're putting into this. It's similar to WandaVision, that they're going this deep in yeah.
I was thinking.
But it's really good. My rating of the pilot, I guess, is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. I thought there was a lot that wasn't great, particularly the scenes with Sam and his sister felt really slow. I love Sam. I love him as Captain America. I love that they included Rhodey in this too. I thought that was, a fun surprise. But the scenes with Sam and his sister I didn't really get it. They didn't really introduce it or set it up in any real way. So I'm taking some points off for that. And any Tony Stark slander will not be tolerated. So a point off for that.
wants to go next?
Yeah,
I
whichever of
take
you guys can
forever,
go
you know
next.
this. I guess I'll go.
All right.
I think I'd give it a good 8, just because as someone who's not as well versed in that particular storyline, because I had to go back and read the plot lines for the Falcon and had to I watched it. I need to rewatch the episode, but I loved what I saw. I loved the level of emotion that you could see, like whenever, obviously spoilers, they give the shield to the guy, and like the Falcon's like his face, he's just like, I don't like that. Like you can just see that it hurts. And he could have kept it, honestly. But he wanted to give it to them and to keep the legacy alive. But I also noticed almost like they were, maybe this is just my interpretation, but it felt like they were slightly villainizing Captain America. Like not villainizing, that's not the right word. With the signs going like, we want you to buy war bonds and we want you to do this, and like, obviously those are the slogans we're used to, the from the war. But it seemed like they were emphasizing it to where everything, that it was all kind of negative in a way. But like they were trying to showcase his legacy, but it was all on the flip side kind of negative. So I don't know if that was intentional on purpose, but I'm not sure how to feel about that, because I love Captain America, and I, you want him to be like the hero, but then you're seeing these kind of signs, and I guess from a modern perspective, you're kind of like, with the knowledge I know now, do I really view him as the end all representation for the country? Like if I was in that universe, obviously I'm just watching it, but I liked that. I don't know about slow with the sister talk, because I can see where he's coming from, not wanting to sell. But I would be, at that point, if I couldn't make any money, if I was no income, like obviously for 5 years, but I would want to sell it too. I'd want to just be done, restart. You got kids.
Yeah.
I can understand where both of them are coming from, but I think that he's gonna pick up the torch. Well, obviously we know that he is, but I think he needs to go ahead and do that and save his family, not just everyone else. He'll be the hero. So yeah, an 8
Yeah.
from me, because I loved how the episode went, especially from someone who's just coming, and it's been a while since I really looked into the backstories of these characters. So I'm loving it, and I love the last scene, the almost anger in his eyes when that I couldn't see. I need to rewatch it. Like I say, Under the Mask, is that who was that? The with the shield, because I
He's
couldn't
got
tell if it was
a.
just a random or
It's a guy from the comics called John Walker, I think his name is. He's the U.S.
John
agent,
Walker.
so he's sort of like he's the government's Captain America, except he's not good. He becomes, I assume he's
Yeah,
going
I
to follow
didn't
his
figure.
same path. He becomes a bad guy. There's a set video that was released of Falcon and the Winter Soldier where he is yelling some Loki type shit like "kneel to me" or "I am a god" or something like that, while he decapitates someone with the shield. So I think they're probably going to go the villain route for him. And
Yeah, I did.
he's also super racist. Like a lot of the time, I don't know if they're going to do that in the
Well,
show.
of course,
I kind of hope they don't,
the
because
villains always are.
give him a real bad story. Racism, we've seen so many racist villains over the years, and obviously
True.
huge problem. Make him
It is easy.
truly a monster. Don't just have his whole motivation be, oh, I don't want there to be a black Captain America, because we've seen that in the comics. You have a chance to make this character really truly just embrace every bad thing about him from the comic. I mean, I don't take that backstory part away from him, but make him truly evil. And it looks like they're
don't
gonna
make
do
it
that.
his entire personality.
Yeah,
Exactly, just like I think it should be there a little bit, just as for representation's sake. Yeah, we don't like this guy. He does not have good views. Obviously, like you can tell he's the villain, but don't make that his entire thing. That can't be anybody's full motivation. Go back in time and figure out what made him so awful.
I hope we get
Right.
like a WandaVision episode 8 type of thing where we, not the whole episode, I don't want to
Right.
waste one of the 6 on that, but just a little bit of his backstory that's just like why this guy gets to the point where he's yelling, I am a god, while decapitating someone with a shield. But my friend and I have a bet on how many times he's going to refer to Sam or other people of color as you people, because he does that in the comics sometimes. And I don't want that to be his entire backstory, but
How many times do you think he's going to say it?
I said at least 5. She said at least 15, which I think is a little high because there's only 6 episodes. And there's also 2 other bad guys they got to deal with. But
3 actually. For cinematic, you can't have people. I studied filmmaking, and you can't have too many repetitive lines. Like you want to make the point, but I'd say a top max is 3. Max is 3 for cinema's sake.
Okay, that's fair. I'm really excited to go back and rewatch the whole thing. Like once it's done, I think this is going to be a more cohesive story. It's going to feel like a Marvel movie. Like WandaVision was amazing, but it felt like a Marvel TV show, not a movie. This already felt like we were just watching part 1 of a movie.
A movie, yeah, that's another thing I love.
I mean, I watched it at 2 a.m., so let's see how much I actually remember. But I mean, I'd give it, okay, I'm going to sound like a little harsh, but highest a 7 out of 10. I'm comparing it to like Arrowverse pilot episodes, and I mean, it was it flowed well, but it was just, it seemed like a lot of, I don't know, words are hard. It felt like really choppy, like jumped all over the place, in my opinion, at least. It just like they tried to introduce too much in like 45 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just, it was like introduce like 4 or 5 characters. Don't introduce pretty much everyone who's going to be in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I do kind of have to remember that there's only going to be like 6 episodes, but
I mean, it was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we did not get a single second of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier together. Like they didn't.
Yeah.
All we got was that Sam texted Bucky occasionally, and Bucky didn't respond. So I'm curious how they're going to bring them together. I thought they were already going to be working together. Like the way the trailers framed it, Bucky was a part of that fight in the canyon. Like from what you saw in the trailers, it looked like Bucky was there on that plane with him and Torres. So I was surprised when he wasn't. I mean, I'd already heard from one of the other podcasts I listened to from someone who got priority access because they're real journalists, that there wasn't much, but I was surprised that there was nothing, but it worked. I mean, it was a good show. It was a good pilot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really compare it to the Arrowverse pilots though, because those are getting 22 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's 22 episodes per season.
Yeah, that's true. This is getting 6 episodes maximum, but it's also not really a pilot. Like we've seen these characters, we know them. We've been watching Sam and Bucky interact since 2014. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's quite a pilot, but it's good. I thought it was fun. I'm excited to see where they go next.
Yeah. It's going to be like really interesting to see, like you mentioned earlier, how the two are actually going to start interacting together, seeing. Yeah. What are your theories on that? How do you think they're...
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to bring them together. I suspect that it's probably going to be something like, the U.S. agent does some bad thing, and that's going to bring Sam and Bucky together because they both feel bad about him disrespecting Cap. Probably something like that.
You're probably right.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts on Falcon and Winter Soldier. Anybody?
Loved it, but still an 8.
All right. moving on to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Also, obviously, spoilers coming. I spent last night trying to write up a review of this because I do like to post my reviews for anyone to see them. And I have to go back and watch it again before I can fully review it. But I thought that other than the animated series, this was the perfect adaptation of those characters. Like the way they interacted with each other was spot on with the comics. They took a little bit out, like someone mentioned earlier that Cyborg didn't, like, they had his fun callback to him saying "booyah" a lot in the Teen Titans, and they took that out. But obviously, it was miles better than Justice League, which I gave a 2 out of 10 in my review of 4 years ago. I'm giving this a 10. I thought it was just fantastic. It was 4 hours and 2 minutes, but it didn't feel like that. Like, it was fun to watch. Every second of it was just enjoyable. Like, I really just liked what I was seeing. There were, what did I write down to mention specifically? Okay, the scene where they're all headbutting each other, where Superman and Wonder Woman are going back and forth with the headbutts, I thought that was just fantastic, because they do that sometimes in the comics, and I think that was in the Joss Whedon one too. But it was just so serious for something so stupid that I thought that was good. The scene where they all meet Alfred and have different reactions to him, like where Flash is like, "Hi, I'm Barry," and then Aquaman's like, "Dope, Alfred," stuff like that. I thought that was fun. I hated
Cyborg
the
doesn't
aspect.
even
Yeah, Cyborg just walks by him. I hated the aspect ratio. I was so annoyed that it was like a square. I didn't think I would be. I was like, oh, that's a little weird, but I won't care. But I did care. It didn't take away from the whole experience, because after about an hour I got used to it. But I just thought that was, just so annoying. The soundtrack was perfect. Every time the Wonder Woman theme hit, it was...
Yes.
I love the Avengers
That was
themes.
kind
I
of
love the
everything.
MCU's themes. Wonder Woman's theme song is the best. Other than maybe the original Superman, Wonder Woman DCEU theme song is the best. It's so iconic. It's fantastic. They used it so well. Speaking of Wonder Woman, I really hope she gets a less sexist costume in the future. Like the fact that every single time she was fighting, you could like see up her skirt, or just barely not. It's a lot. Put some pants on.
But I love her outfit though. Like, I love it when a female hero has like some full coverage, but I also love the flip side where they're not ashamed of themselves, and they don't feel like they have to cover everything.
But
So I feel like
it doesn't feel like she's not ashamed of it. It feels like Gal Gadot doesn't love walking around in that. Like the way she carried herself, sort of. Or I guess the difference between how she carried herself. Like when she was wearing the full gold suit in Wonder Woman 84. I don't know.
I did like
I like that better.
I mean, they could ask her opinion on it. If she likes it, then I wouldn't cover it up just because like someone, might not. But like, I would wear it, but that's me.
I would stay away from that. But
Okay. Well, more things I wrote down. Every single time that they did a team power shot, like how they do in the Avengers when it scrolls around and the music swells, every time they did that, everyone was posing all seriously, and then Barry was just grinning from ear to ear. I loved that. That was fantastic. His portrayal of Barry Allen was so on point. I thought he was perfect. Speaking of portrayals of Barry Allen, the moment when they said, "How will we break through the big wall?" and then Barry goes, "With the power of love." He says, "Kidding, a catastrophic energy surge." That was such a call out to the CW Flash. Because, like, I don't know if you guys saw the current season, but there's a thing, like, just in the last couple of episodes where they're talking about how they'll restore the Speed Force, and they literally restored it through the power of love.
a little bit more complex than that, but pretty much.
I mean, that was just... It was just a lot. Black suit Superman was fantastic. I loved the black suit. They didn't explain why he was wearing it. Like I know in the comics it's because he needs to heal and stuff like that. But it was still fine.
But like
Yeah.
with the black suit though, there was when Cyborg was touching the three mother things, he had a vision of Superman wearing the black suit and going evil though. So I feel like if you remember that.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that. I loved that. I love the nightmare. I'm gonna get to the nightmare. Trust me, I want to talk about the nightmare.
Okay.
The
I was
Flash.
just like, I felt like that was.
Yeah. Okay, that one Flash scene where he goes back in time a couple of minutes. That was the best visuals I've ever seen of the Flash. Like, I mean, he was just perfect. Where he phases through the whole explosion and then just that whole thing.
Yeah.
That was great. Lex Luthor's theme in the very end or the very beginning of the epilogue, his theme song was also literally perfection. The Joker at one point referred to Mara as my little fish stick. I feel like I just need to mention that.
Fish stick.
That was just such a Joker thing to say. And we've gotten fantastic Jokers. Heath Ledger, amazing.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson, while not what I would have expected, was so much fun to watch. I think this 2 minutes of this Joker sold me on Jared Leto more than anything else could have. Like the Suicide Squad him might have been good in Ayer's cut, but we're never gonna know. And he was not very good in the when they released. But he was perfect. He was the Joker.
Yeah, he did well.
That whole scene, him making fun of. I didn't think they were gonna mention the tease from Batman v Superman that the Joker killed Dick Grayson, but they went full out with it. That was
and the card has the design, the original design of the Joker on it, like one of the original sketches. I'm like, I love that. I love the callbacks, and finally a Joker with a card.
Yeah.
Yep. And my last thought was, if they don't make another one of these, I'm going to be really disappointed. Normally I'll say things like that and I'm like, okay, I'll move on. I don't know how I'm going to move on from that. That nightmare ending, that setup for the future was perfect. I was so bored after watching Justice League. I didn't care if they continued the DCEU, and then Shazam kind of restored my faith in it. I'm ready to give it a chance again. Shazam was so stupid, but it was fun. It was so stupid, but it was fun to watch. Okay, it was weird though. Cause you guys didn't see it, but there's one part. The whole movie's funny. It's like a funny superhero movie, sort of like Thor Ragnarok. But there's one really dark scene, like right in the middle, and it's so out of nowhere, and it was really surprising. But
I'm curious. I want to see it. I was working in the theater when it came out, so I didn't have the chance to see it myself. But
yeah,
so far, people that were walking out of the theater, they loved it. They said it just didn't feel like, DC.
It didn't feel like DC because it was the first DC movie that Zack Snyder didn't have his, other than Justice League. It was the first movie that Zack Snyder didn't have a hand in, and it was not dark and gritty. It felt like you were watching an MCU movie just without the MCU. Like it was the perfect mesh of action and comedy. But except for one really dark scene.
Oh goodness! See, now that makes me kind of want to go watch it.
Yeah, I'd check it out. I liked it. It restored me to the DC universe. And I sat down for Zack Snyder's Justice League and I said, I'm going to watch this because it's so hyped up and I feel like I should give it a review. And I didn't think I was going to like it because it wasn't just the complaints I had with the original cut were not the complaints that everyone else had. I was fine with the campiness. I thought the red sky was a little weird. I thought his handling of Batman was just pathetic. But the rest of it I thought was, it was terrible. But it was terrible in the same way that I didn't like parts of Batman v Superman. Like I didn't like Zack's part either. But seeing the whole thing come together, this movie could not have been any shorter. every single second added character development, and it was perfect. And I paused it at the end of part 3 to take a break because it's so long. And I just wanted to, finish it. I didn't want to take a break. And I thought it was, I loved it. So someone else go.
Who wants the okay, because I didn't get like I said, I didn't get the best chance to see it, like relax and actually watch it, and I need to watch it again. I had to skim through it a lot because 4 hours long. I didn't have the Wi-Fi wasn't working. I didn't have the time, but I kind of cheated and skimmed through it. And what was noticeable was the part where they took out Cyborg's booyah. They did take out one scene that I was so glad they took out, was the anime trope where he falls in Wonder Woman's bosom. And I was glad that one was gone, because that was just point. It also, the film, like it looked like cosplayers were doing it, but like with bad quality. The whole, it didn't seem right. The whole scene wasn't even filmed. And because they say that the trouble with filming it was because they had the green screen, but they didn't have, like, that's why the camera in some scenes pans better than other times, because the green screen, they can't pan as much with it. But another part, they gave his name slips my mind, the main bad guy, they give him a reason for, they give him a reason to want to fight. Like he's trying to gain his place back, so he wants to defeat Earth to do that and get enough planets under his master's rule. So I was glad they gave him more of a backstory, more of a reason. And then the other thing that I'd wanted to mention was just the black suit. I was just kind of annoyed with, they didn't say like why he chose it. You just kind of, like, it looked nice, but he chose it because it has, it can help him heal. It has other uses. I also noticed that when he was walking through, you could see like all the different versions of his suits, and I liked the callbacks to the comics like that. And then the very last thing was, of course, the Joker, which was the main thing I wanted to mention, was how happy I was to see kind of a mesh of all the Jokers kind of put together. And he has the card, and it has the callback to the comics with the original sketch on it. And it just seemed well done. Like in Suicide Squad, Leto's Joker was not, it just wasn't. I can't make much commentary on it because it's kind of self-explanatory. It just wasn't, there wasn't enough of him either for you to even really get to know. But this one, it shows he sat back, they looked at the character, they revamped him in this. You could tell that they sat back, they looked at it, and they said, okay, we need to fix this. We know you can do this, because I think they didn't do him justice in the last films. They wanted to make him kind of look like that jail cell hottie, and they went too far
More
with that.
like a mafia boss than
he looked like a Post Malone knockoff, like with all the face tattoos.
Yeah, but they fixed him with this, made him more like the comics. And I loved the long hair. I loved the callback to the makeup and the scars, like Ledger's. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I loved it. It revamps him for me. I'm like, good, they're giving him a good chance, because I think he really can pull off the Joker. I just didn't think the first films really gave him enough credit. They really needed to give him more power.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about the Joker for hours, and every Joker for hours.
Yeah.
But the last thing I'm going to say
I
is
think pretty much all of us.
The one thing with his Joker, the one complaint I had was his laugh was still weird. His Joker laugh didn't sound like the Joker. It sounded like someone choking on a bowl of soup.
I feel like that is
like a smoker's laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's something that just takes a lot of practice and like years to learn.
Yep.
I think it'll come.
Yep. Oh, I don't think it will.
Give him some more screen time.
I don't think they're ever going to bring back these Zack Snyder characters, but if they do, I really
They
hope
need to.
I know.
Please.
They won't, because I mean, Warner Brothers, you have to think Warner Brothers has been trying to sabotage this from the beginning. Everything with them
Right.
accidentally releasing it with
Mhm.
Tom and Jerry, and then it happened on every torrent site at the exact same time, like 4 hours before it comes
Mhm.
out. And okay, my favorite thing,
That's just-
one of my friends texted me yesterday saying that every time there's a new superhero thing on their favorite pirating site, it has a trending page. And every time there's a new superhero thing, it's always number one. It's always at the top. This wasn't even in the top 50 because everyone knows this is not going to get a sequel unless you watch it on HBO Max, which is why I've been having it playing on a loop in the background, just because I want it to get these views. It needs to be watched in order to get more.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. I hope so.
I genuinely loved it. This has been one of the first Snyder cuts that I've watched in a hot second. And I just put it on at like early this morning and just watched it while I was like prepping for stuff. And I just could not peel my eyes away from the screen. I was like, okay, confusion. And then they explain it. One of my main things is I was so upset when they took out Aquaman's like pep talk. I felt like that just brought comedy before like a really harsh scene to watch. And I was just like, that was one of my favorite scenes. But I mean, Sean and I were talking about this a little earlier about the flashes, and without all the extra scenes, I didn't like that flash. I don't know why. I grew up, I started DC with Grant Gustin playing Flash. But
yeah,
I mean, this is like, he's younger than the Grant Gustin Flash. So I think that just took me a hot second to realize. But especially when he brought it back to his dad, it was like, yo, hey, my foot's in the door. I was like, that was a huge moment for the Flash for me.
That was so cool.
So yeah,
well,
I was
I mean,
like,
Grant Gustin is 31 and Ezra Miller is 28. So he's younger, but he was playing young. Didn't you get the impression that he was like, 19 or something?
I thought, okay, well, he also played, can I even bring up Harry Potter? He also played Credence. Yeah. And it took me this like 4 hours to realize, yo, this is Credence from from Crimes of Grindelwald. I think he was first introduced in, but I was just, that took me a hot second.
God, that's a tease that we're never going to get to see paid off. The end of that. I didn't get it. I was so confused. I was like, how are they going to introduce another? Because this is before Harry Potter. So how are they going to introduce something and just never mention it in the real ones?
There's going to be another one.
There will, but it won't be good. The first two weren't very good. They were fun, but they were not very good movies.
They were J.K. Rowling trying to get another cash grab, but
yeah, which we don't like her anymore.
We don't talk. Daniel Radcliffe did a great job writing Harry Potter. He did an amazing job.
He was
just
really
the
fantastic
best writer and actor.
Yep.
We
love him.
Come on, Tom Felton helped edit.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, God.
But I mean, I love Harry Potter. I grew up on Harry Potter.
Me too.
Those movies
I have
are
Slytherin.
other than the Sorcerer's Stone. Oh,
same.
We got all Slytherins here.
How did this? Yeah,
I got.
Nice.
Getting excited.
Yeah, I love Harry Potter. Other than the Sorcerer's Stone movie, I could watch the other. Well, I guess 6. I can't watch the camping one either because it's just 2.5 hours of them running around camping. But they're great books. That. They're great movies for the most part. These are not. The new ones aren't. Cursed Child was interesting.
Excuse my dog. Please excuse my dog.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how we got off on Harry. Oh, from what you're saying. But yeah. Fantastic. I saw him in. I was just watching Perks of Being a Wallflower too, and he
I need to
He
watch
brought
that
that.
still.
He brought that Patrick energy to this Flash,
He really
which
did.
he didn't do in the other one. And
Right.
he was so much more fleshed out and just good. He was a better character. He was more fun. And superhero movies
He was
should
really
be
fun to watch. Really, yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, Ari brought this up, or maybe it was you. But there's just like a huge difference between Marvel and DC, whereas like Marvel movies are lighter, a little bit more funny. Even like the overall color scheme is brighter.
Yes.
Whereas in like DC, everything's darker, it's Gotham, it's dark, it's industrialized.
I love goth stuff though.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
Gotham's fantastic.
But everything that just goes down in Gotham, I would love to be there, like Black Canary. Anyways,
yeah.
Me too.
But are we all just gonna take a few seconds to Google about
It's
that?
okay. It's okay.
But no, it was just we really got to see more in depth about the backstory of everything pretty much. And what is with this unlife code thing?
Oh, the anti-life equation. I love the
Yeah.
anti-life equation in the comics, and I am.
Yeah, they brought that back.
They brought it
I
in.
need
They
to-
gave him real motivation.
I really
And it
need
was
to read
so
the
good.
comics on that.
Yeah.
I'll send you a list. There. I mean, it's
okay.
fantastic.
I got Barnes and Noble gift cards.
Yep. It's fantastic to see them taking, like, the one thing Marvel doesn't do is they make it easy for people who haven't read the comics to still watch the movies. DC, they just assume you know what the anti-life equation is and why it's making Superman evil in the Nightmare. They don't explain it. They're just like,
Is that why?
Yeah, that's why, because they forced him in. It basically in the comics, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I know you're more of a DC expert, but isn't it like sort of a formula that just convinces people that life is meaningless and tortures them into believing whatever Darkseid tells, or whoever controls it tells them? Like it's sort of like it's an instant depression is what it is.
Oh,
Kind
lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's going to be fantastic.
Yep. I was so happy they included it though. Darkseid just felt out of place in Justice League, and it was good in this one.
Do you think they're going to do a second movie because of that, or?
Oh, I don't think so. I really, truly hope they do. I can't imagine they will. It's the fact that Zack Snyder didn't even get paid for this, that they wouldn't even pay him for it to come back and finish this. This is going to be the most watched thing on HBO Max within 5 or 6 days. Like, this will beat Friends in 10 minutes. But
also something I need to watch.
Well, Friends is fun. I don't think they'll do another. I think Warner Brothers just doesn't like Zack Snyder. Ray Fisher will never come back to Warner Brothers to any director unless it's Zack Snyder because of that whole thing. I mean, you don't know where they're going with it. I think nowhere. I think this is an excellent movie that has to just be taken with a grain of salt.
Do we think that DC has kind of hit its peak then?
It's
movies.
They'll fix it eventually.
It's finally, because here's what I've always thought is that Marvel is great with live action, does an amazing job with live action, but their cartoons, I have my opinions. So far what I've seen. DC does amazing with their animations, and with the movies, they usually fall under somehow. They fall short. But with this one, what I've seen of it, it's there. Like, it's finally there to where we can look at it and go, that's DC. Like there it is. That is there's my characters. They're alive. It's serious. It's almost perfect. And it's ready for it to be like slingshot into more movies. Now that we finally have our characters and we have a good representation, we have our cast, we have everything, it's almost perfect. Let's please do this. But I feel like they're wanting to leave it off here. But I hope not.
What we've got is Flashpoint. Flashpoint is my last hope. That movie with Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck as their Batman and Ezra Miller as the Flash. And they announced, I can't remember the actress's name, the girl that was Iris in the Justice League. They said she wasn't coming back, and then they said she is. And Billy Crudup isn't. He's not coming back as his dad. They're going to recast him because he has to do the morning show, which another show that is fantastic. So the only reason I'm not upset about him coming back because I love him in that. But that movie is my last hope. They're going to reset the DC universe somehow, and I really hope they find a way to keep this energy, even if it's not Zack Snyder.
Yes.
They have to keep these characters. They have to. I feel the same way I feel about this team as I do about the Avengers. I didn't think that was possible going into this movie. 24 hours ago, I would have told you were insane if you would have told me that I would be saying that now. But I do. They just did it right. So I would be really disappointed if they don't pay it off.
Capitalize on it, like use it, let's go, like I'm ready. It's got you gets you revved up for, like, I haven't even been able to sit back and enjoy it and really absorb it, and from what I've seen, it's just like, there's my babies.
Yep.
I still don't know how I feel about the fact it was Batman who brought all of them together. I mean, it makes sense, but with his overall character as being kind of antisocial, not really liking to talk to people that much, being like the lone wolf kind of is the one who brings all these people together.
That's kind of an irony, though. I kind of like that, just because it's like, oh, like kind of like if you've watched Umbrella Academy, 5 is not the social butterfly, but he's the one trying to pull everybody back together. So I kind of like that flip side.
Yeah,
I like that.
That was fun to see. And which of the other characters would have brought them together? Because Aquaman doesn't want to join the team. Barry's a 5-year-old at heart. And Wonder Woman doesn't know any of them exist. And Superman's dead. So that leaves Cyborg? I mean, I would have liked it if they had done Martian Manhunter. I loved how they brought him into it.
Yeah.
I loved the fact that he was the general from the other 2 movies. I thought that was just such a cool detail. But
well, if you watch Supergirl, it talks about that.
Yep.
But
yeah, I didn't, when I was watching Batman v Superman for the first time, this was literally a couple days after I had started the Arrowverse. So I started with Arrow. So I was so excited to dive into the movies too. And I saw Batman v Superman and I was like, oh, cool. That is an army general who is just an army general because every superhero movie needs an army guy. And then watching it again a couple days ago, I was like, is he Martian Manhunter? Is there a possibility? And then he was.
Yes.
Oh, right. Oh, go ahead.
I mean,
I had a brain fart.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about the fact he went in and talked to Lewis, though.
That was a little weird.
I was just like, eventually Lewis and the mom are going to have to talk again, and how she's going to bring up the fact, like, why aren't you moving in with me? But now it's like, she's not, because they got the house back. But I feel like that's a whole thing. You need to be careful who you're going to shapeshift into.
That whole line where it was like, how did you get the house back from the bank? I bought the bank. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved that.
That is such a Bruce Wayne thing, though.
Like, that felt like a Tumblr post that someone would write under an incorrect DCEU quotes thing more than something they would actually say in the movie. So I need
to get back on Tumblr.
Tumblr's fun. I took a break from it for like a couple months, and then I went back and got right back sucked into it.
Oh, I just have been on a social media break lately.
Yep. All right. Overall ratings. I gave mine a 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Same for you guys?
Just because I haven't been able to really absorb it, I need to, go through it again. I'm going to give it a 9 just because I haven't been able to, but I love what I see. It's like my babies are real.
Yes,
all right.
10.
Okay. Lastly, the new Superman and Lois show.
I thought we were going to talk about this.
It's just I rewatched the first 2 episodes this morning.
I am blocking this from memory.
Yeah, I hate to judge things before I watch their whole season. That's like reading the first 2 chapters of a book and saying the whole book is terrible. But it was terrible. There was a couple funny
It's
moments in the
just-
beginning. It's too much. We don't have to get into that if you guys haven't all seen it. But
I have
it's-
not seen it, but I've spoilers on Instagram. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not
I'm
great.
excited to see where they go with Captain Luther, but that's it. That's the only part of the show that intrigues me even slightly. Like I could
That
not care
is
less whether his
even-
kids have powers or not. That just it doesn't.
They did tease that in the Snyder cuts. I don't know if you noticed, but when she went to grab her press pass, you saw the pregnancy test.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
if
No.
anyone else
Snyder
is paying
said
attention to that.
on Snyder said on Twitter yesterday
Yeah.
that he intended for Superman and Lois's firstborn child to become the new Batman after Bruce dies in Justice League 3.
Maybe
Why
that's
would you?
the only
Why would you
reason
say that publicly? First of all, why would you spoil your own movie that
Yes.
might eventually come out?
Yeah,
Like he
that
made a
kinda
big deal of it too.
ruins
Like
it.
I had stuff muted on Twitter and I didn't want to see stuff beforehand, and it still made its way through everything that I had. But it's a little weird. All right.
Yeah.
So compare and contrast these characters in the Snyder Cut versus other actors that have played them. Let's start with the Flash. I mean, Grant Gustin is great. That show is terrible. I still watch it. I still enjoy it.
I would say
It has just
I would say the
fallen
first
off.
few seasons. The first few seasons were fantastic.
Yes, that's true.
And then
The
you
first
get
season
into
with the Wells, the first Wells being Thawne. I didn't see that coming. I liked it. Every new Wells since
loved
then
it.
has just bothered me.
uh,
Like the one
second-
with the drumsticks, I was just ready for him to die.
Earth 2 Wells was okay.
Yeah, he was okay.
If you had if I had to rank them, it would go original Wells, Earth 2 Wells, and then all the other ones were just trash.
I would go Thawne Wells, Earth 2, the like 2 seconds of the original Wells we got in this last episode. I liked him. I thought he could have been fun. The one from the Savitar season with the drumsticks, HR. And then I just don't even remember the other. Oh, Nash, I guess. Nash was fine. I mean, I like the show, but just the two actors between Grant and Ezra after watching this. What do you think about that?
Okay, can I do something?
Yeah.
Can we do Ezra as younger Barry
Okay.
and Grant Gustin as old Barry?
Okay.
Because I totally feel like that is the personality of young Flash.
Mhm.
But and then as soon as he gets into like the forensics, he matures and then becomes Grant Gustin. Do you follow my thought process?
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought that scene in Crisis where they talk to each other, I was really hoping they were going to mention that at some point in the Snyder Cut. I thought that was a cool thing to include.
He did mention that he was messing with the time
And that weird stuff
timeline a
happened.
little.
I figured that was what he was talking
Yeah.
about.
Me too.
Okay, Batman. Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, or Ben Affleck. Not movies, Bruce Wayne and Batman. Go.
That is unfair. They all have their pros and cons.
And then George Clooney just has cons. Specifically, 2 of them right on
Hey.
his chest.
Hey, he was one of my one of the first Batmans I ever saw.
Yeah, he was something. That was a movie.
It was interesting.
I mean, I love Christian Bale's movies. I think people are gonna hate me for this. I think Batman Begins is better than The Dark Knight, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I loved Scarecrow. Scarecrow is my favorite comic villain, even over the Joker. I thought that movie was done so well. The Dark Knight's a little bit boring. It's
Yeah,
Both of
the
your
thing, the
faces
Dark
looked great
Knight,
there.
it's like Dark Knight is one of those where they had the great Joker in it, but it was kind of wasted on a not as good Batman. But
yeah. You put Heath Ledger's Joker with Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yes.
That would be the perfect
Just-
movie.
That would be
Can
gorgeous.
someone do an edit? Can we do an edit, please?
Mia hops onto all my editing applications after this just to see if I could do it. But
Yeah, coming to the Twitter. Oh, by the way, we have a Twitter now. I have to look what it is. Yeah.
question: How did you get forehead pod?
Yeah.
Forehead
Okay.
security.
So the forehead of security is an obscure reference to a scene in Iron Man 3 where Happy Hogan doesn't know how to use FaceTime, and he's holding the camera where he's like this the whole time, and he's got his forehead up, and Tony calls him the forehead of security. And so I've run the forehead of
gotcha.
security meme page
Gorgeous.
on Instagram for like 2 years that I never post on. But I thought that would be a fun reference to
great.
include on the name of the podcast.
Love
But-
it.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Okay. Our Twitter is just @foreheadpod.
Cool.
So go follow it. Any of our probably 7.
Do
8
I
listeners.
have to?
My Twitter is going to get really weird recommendations for me now.
Mhm.
Yep.
I love my Twitter.
Mhm.
My Twitter is just a mix of sports and superheroes, and I switch without
I
any
rarely go
warning.
on. It was my first social
Hey.
media, and I barely go on it anymore.
I just
Mhm.
went on Twitter just to see all the dumb stuff Trump posted.
Oh yes,
Um,
that was glorious. Trump is an awful.
he was the
awful
only
But
person.
those 4 years were some of the best entertainment. we've
Grade
ever
A
gotten out of the
entertainment.
government.
Only president to get banned from the internet.
I mean, how do you get banned from Twitter when you're the president?
Yeah, I've
That shouldn't
seen
even be
people
legally
post some
allowed.
things on there.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a person. Not a good one though. But he was fun to watch on Twitter. And I forgot what we were
Good
talking
president,
about before
terrible
Twitter.
person.
But- Yeah, I mean, I love Christian Bale as Batman in Batman Begins and in The Dark Knight Rises, but they put so much into the Joker that it just didn't feel like we were watching a Batman movie. Batman felt like a hero we were
Yeah.
supposed
Like
to
a
root for
Joker
without
movie.
knowing. It was,
Yep,
yeah,
It felt like a Joker movie.
yep.
with not
that's
enough
true.
Joker.
Yeah.
All right, animated Cyborg in the original Teen Titans, Cyborg and Teen Titans
Ooh.
Go, and then this Cyborg.
Go. Oh
You're
man.
not a Teen
Okay,
Titans
hold
Go
on.
fan?
Okay, get Teen
I
Titans Go
grew-
out of that. Yuck.
I
Get it
like
away
Go.
from me.
I thought Go
I'm
was
about
fun.
to age myself. I'm about to age myself here. But I grew up on Teen Titan Go.
Yeah, I did too.
It was the
Why?
Because we're younger.
Right, I keep forgetting that.
Yep.
I feel old now.
I mean, I saw
but
the
Teen
original.
Titans, the original.
I
I
didn't.
did see the original first.
How did you not? How do you not see the original? I've got Teen
Didn't
Titans.
watch
comics.
TV.
It's going in the folder immediately as soon as we're done,
Yes.
and I will make
How?
you watch it.
How?
It's much
I
better than
have
Go.
other things. I am re-binging Supernatural right now. I don't got time for that.
You need
That's
to.
fair.
You need time. Big time.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay,
have
it's
a
okay.
connection.
I'll just stay up till 4 versus 2.
Yeah,
Yes.
that works.
It's worth it.
It's not like I have to get up at 6 anyways to drive an hour and a half to school.
Yeah, no, you
lovely.
don't need that.
Who needs
But-
school?
But yeah,
Just because-
cyborgs.
Cyborg,
Cyborgs.
original Teen Titans. I have to just because I grew up on that. That is my callback for that's. And there's more of him, so you see more of his past personality. Although I love this one because it went into his backstory and it gives him
Yeah.
makes him more human. Get it, more human. But I can't abandon Teen Titans Cyborg. He taught kids a lot of good lessons. That's the moral lessons of it. So that's where I go with.
All right, my thoughts
Versus
on this cyborg. I can't imagine this cyborg being friends with a Beast Boy. This cyborg had no personality. he was.
When are we going to get a Beast Boy? Can that be a thing?
I hope so.
We need
I
a
hope we
Beast
do.
Boy and a
But
Raven.
a Raven would be
Yes.
awesome. I would
A
love
real
to see Zack
Raven, please.
Snyder's take on Raven.
I don't even want to
we all
talk
would.
about that Teen Titans movie that was live action. Like it looked like it was almost going to be good, and they put Starfire in it. Like I love the actress for Starfire. I just didn't like the outfits that they put her in. They didn't do her justice. They could have made her look so much better, and they were just like, oh, let's just throw crap on her. And like, no, you're making her look.
Yeah.
But opinions. I have opinions.
All right. Who are the other Justice League members? Oh, Superman. There's so many Supermen to compare him to, but let's just go to the original. The original Superman versus this Superman, because I'm refusing to acknowledge Brandon Routh, and I don't want to talk about Superman and Lois anymore. So, just the original and this guy. What are our thoughts?
Original.
Okay, some mixed thoughts there.
I like this guy just because of like it's hard to pick and choose because without the other you don't have much background for this one. You got to have your foundation to understand the characters. Like I wouldn't have loved Teen Titans the original as much had I not been reading these comics, but still I like this one because the progress I like it.
I'm going to say I say the original mainly because nothing can beat the original Superman. That's how we got all the information about him, his backstory, and all that kind of stuff. So
that's true.
Whereas I do see your point.
If we're comparing movies, the original has to win by a mile. The original beats Man of Steel any day. Man of Steel was Superman should not be dark and gritty. That's not Superman. It just isn't. And I get what they were going for, but it wasn't right. But character-wise, I kind of want to say Cavill for just actor and character-wise. I love him. I love him in The Witcher. I think he just, especially in this one, he showed so much character. And I mean, my all-time favorite DC or Marvel movie is none of the MCU or DCEU. I love the Death of Superman / Reign of the Supermen movie. I saw them back to back the first time in IMAX. And it was just, I love those movies. And I thought that this Superman sort of had that same spirit. Like it was a similar story. He died to Doomsday and then came back. And obviously they're not going to do Superboy or anything here because that would be too much to do without explaining. Yeah. But I like them. I like them both, but I'm going to go with Cavill. And I mean, we can talk about the old Aquaman. We shouldn't because he was a pathetic nothing.
Nah, we don't know.
He rode a seahorse.
Are we not even going to talk about his terrible costume choice?
All right. Well, I think that wraps this up. We're hitting an hour here, an hour and 10 minutes. We can end on Aquaman. He's a good place to end.
Why would it? Ending on a bad note.
He tends to kill all conversation. My favorite line in Justice League in both is that whenever Aquaman goes to visit that town where Batman finds him in the very beginning, he brings them fish because they need something to eat. Does he kill fish? Does Aquaman go and kill a bunch of fish to bring them to these humans?
That broke my brain.
I want to make a biblical reference there, but I'm not going to because
cannibalism.
Yep. I mean, just come on.
Cannibalism.
All right. Yeah. On that note, we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for listening. I can't imagine there's very many of you, but thank you anyway. Until next week.